We are back. Steiny and Guru, Stiles in for Steiny, the crossover.
Dibs is back.
Wow,
Let's
reunited.
go.
Well, because Dibs was out.
It's
and
Monday.
Willard was
Everybody's
out.
name, just so that you're Stiles. This is Guru.
Whoa.
Dan Dibley right over here.
That's
Straight
$2
across
bread
from
he
you.
had Willard
That's right.
over the weekend.
And my name's Mark. My name's Mark
There you
Willard,
go.
and I'm on your right. So,
There you go.
all
Did
right.
you miss us,
It's a
Dibs?
Name
reintroduce.
tag radio.
Did you miss us?
You've asked me like 4 times
But
now.
not on air. I'm saying, would you get nervous on air?
Is your answer different off air?
Yeah.
And of course not.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
not,
my
The
God.
answer's no, all the way on or off
He
air.
meant it. I
Yeah.
believe
well,
it.
and I'm going to give the answer that I give to my daughter whenever she's doing something
My
wrong.
niece.
Shout out your niece,
Yeah.
baby Mila. And I'm going to quote my partner, Mark, because she's crawling around now and she'll do something that she's not supposed to do. And I'll say, that's going to be a no for me, dog. Because
right.
that's the Mark Willard, the sound bite.
Doesn't work as well with a baby girl.
Rub out
No,
the-
like, I don't know, do you
it
call
does.
her dog?
Whoa.
When she's crawling over to the fiddly fig and she's about to get a handful of soil and she knows she's not supposed to, and I say, Mila, and she turns around and I say, that's going to be a no from me, dog.
Does it work?
Yeah, it
Well,
works.
there you go.
She looks at
Bottom
me and
line.
she's like, Daddy, you're not on air. It's not 2 to 6.
Yeah.
And then she
Okay.
goes back to,
That's right.
grabbing handfuls of soil and,
Tap it down.
dude,
Let's
yeah.
hit
So
the
anyway,
brakes.
so in terms of did I miss you, that's going to be a no from me, dog.
I believe you.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually did tune in a little bit to you guys because I'm a big Styles guy,
Yeah.
big fan. And you guys were doing great.
Oh,
I did
thanks.
catch a little of Willard and JD, and I was like, man, JD's got too much knowledge for me.
What
I'm gonna have
about
to
was
hurry
it when
back.
JD went in on Kapler?
No, but I
I'm going
actually
into-
talked to the boss
Best,
earlier
yeah.
about that very segment, and he's like, "Did you hear the audio about Cap?" And I was like, "No,
You
I
got
read
him
about it,
down.
but I never heard the look."
Yeah.
So I forgot to look at the feed to see the audio, but apparently,
JD
Well, it all
went
went
in.
down in real
Yeah.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
They were
always
on
right.
air.
Yeah, when
and I
it
know
went
that
down in
Cap
real
is
time.
feeling it as he
Dude.
should be because
He
oh
cracked.
My God,
Yeah, he
dude.
cracked.
Okay, but what's
They
going on
are
with the
cracking.
antics? Yeah, give me a different shovel, a different.
What do you mean?
Yesterday, he's challenging everything. Like he's cracking in front of our eyes. Bring the shovel to the mound. Give me a different bucket. He did that like 3 times yesterday. Wasn't his call, but and then the challenge. Who was coming around third and he scored.
First and third.
Yeah, Acuna.
Like, just take a playoff, skip.
But somebody
The run
called that in, though.
scored.
But somebody called that in, and he didn't see
No, they
I'm
were
sure.
pointing at Giants. They're
I was-
panicking.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. I actually yes, as we were heading into that series, definitely he cracked. The difference, what's weird about Gabe is when he cracks, he doesn't crack. Do you know what I mean? Like the old style manager.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
Cap don't crack.
Tommy Lasorda.
Thank
What do
you.
you mean about what do I mean about his performance? Like to be when somebody cracks, they crack.
You know it.
Gabe cracks and he's like, so what do you think? And you're like, it's the same voice that it always is. So it just kind of snuck up on everybody. And yeah, they're leaking. They're leaking.
Still in the playoffs.
Oh, they're leaking.
I mean, look, you can look at the weekend a couple of ways. I mean, they went toe-to-toe with the best team in baseball.
Shoulda won Saturday.
Probably should have won both of those games.
Wow.
Super frustrating. Like, that was a very hard pill to swallow. And then yesterday was just a weird game, but they won it.
Oh, my
They had to not get
On a
swept.
walk.
Yeah,
Walk
on a-
off walk.
yeah. It was a jock off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's right. I had to heard
careful. Anyway, look, he's a different dude. What I'm noticing right now that I really want to explore with Giants fans. When it goes well, everyone's just kind of like whatever. The second something is off, whether it's a pitching change, a non-pitching change,
A challenge.
everybody is ready with guns right away. I was at the Patrick Bailey walk-off a week and a half ago when he walked out
To pull Webb.
just to talk to Webb.
okay.
We didn't even know if he was going to pull him yet. And he was out there with his twin Kapler, that other Kapler
What's
that he
that
walks.
about?
I don't even know. I don't even know what that is. But he's got another Kapler next to him now, and they're walking out to the mound, and he's showered with booze.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, he hasn't even done anything
Oh,
yet.
wow.
That is so
Like maybe he's going to
bizarre.
talk to Webb to see if he's good and leave him in. Now he didn't, but that's everybody is ready to pounce on him. And when manager calls, sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. That's what's interesting to me.
Do we, Dibs is back. Go ahead, Dibs. But do we do that because some people may think, not he's a fraud. Everything's been going so good, so we haven't seen the true character of this guy. So when there is a little flare-up, people are ready to just go all in because they feel like, you know what, now we're seeing the true Dibs.
I think it's a sense of arrogance. And when it's working, when you win 107 games, you can't say anything about it because it's working. And, he's perfectly chiseled. His beard is always finely tuned. He's got hand tats and muscles. Everything about him is precise and perfect. But when things don't go well, now you look at the procedure by which that this team goes about doing everything, which is it's all matchup based. It is in many ways faceless, like you're up, you're down. Tomorrow, Kyle Harrison, hopefully he comes to save the day. Shout out De La Salle. I had to do that for you. Shout out De La.
Thank you.
We had a bunch of De La's, Mark, while you were gone. But I think that it's the sense of, the way he goes about managing and the way they go about constructing everything. And, you look at what they've done since the deadline, and I know there weren't any good deals out there. The Dodgers are 17-2.
Oh my gosh.
Since August 1st, and the Giants are 7-10. So whatever deals were there or weren't there, your rival has exploded and you have faded.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty simple to me. You look around at the Dodgers, and look, I think Gabe Kapler gets a bad rap, but at the same time, you're not helping yourself, just like in that second game when you could have brought in Doval. There's a bit of bad luck going on, too. Any move that he makes seems to be the wrong move. He doesn't make a move, it doesn't work. He does make a move, it doesn't work. Then you don't bring in Doval. They give up the hit. They end up losing that game. So it's just rough right now, but I also feel as if when you're comparing this team to Willard's point, to these other rosters, what do you really want Gabe to do? And I'll just continue to say you can only make a meal with what's in the fridge. And I think for the most part, Gabe's made a pretty decent meal most nights with what's in his fridge. But then when it doesn't taste good, your customers get upset and they look at the chef.
I think that's a good point. We're looking at this, and I think the easy thing for people to get mad at, oh gosh, with your analytics and your platooning and your spreadsheet. That's what people get mad at. What I think people should get mad at is you need more good players.
Yes.
Look at the Braves. Watch the game.
Yeah.
Good God. Good.
It's a miracle
God,
you're a playoff
lineup.
team right now.
I mean,
Exactly.
that lineup is absolute insanity, and then it takes the thing
Top to bottom.
right? And then the thing you're mad about
Rosario.
it takes care of itself. They're not going to platoon if they've got great players.
Right.
So to me, that's.
So what message do you have, Willard? Because I feel you to Giant fan or the cook that doesn't have the right groceries to make that meal. Relax, or like Dibs said,
No.
you didn't do. And I don't think Dibs, you can help me out. I don't think he was insinuating there was a letdown, and that's why everybody, it seems like at the plate for the Giants, is going to kind of compute at the same time because there was no deal.
No, they're not good enough. And I think we're all saying the same thing in terms of the roster. Your roster's not good enough. And I know we waited for all these farm players, these farm hands to come up. And, Schmidt's back and, Matos up and down. And Luciano's now hurt. And so whether or not your farm will be good enough next year, right now it's not good enough. And the players you brought in were either injured or not good enough. And the vets that you still have are either injured or not good enough. They have a lot of guys who are hurt.
Now, I would pop back on that to say that the farm is not good enough because, gosh, this whole city.
Patrick Bailey's been great.
Patrick Bailey's fantastic, and there has to be some sort of an acknowledgement when a farmhand even does something to get called up. Like the fact that the Giants have called up like 6 of these.
Is that too many, maybe?
Maybe, but some of it's circumstantial, and I'm not.
I think it's all based on need, though.
Not
I don't
all
think
of it.
Most of these guys didn't come up because there was a healthy player here who wasn't doing well enough. I think most of these guys got called up because there was injuries.
It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
It's definitely a mixed bag. I get my point would be though that especially where you look where the farm system was a year ago, there has to be a beat. Like, gosh, we've been doing this with Trey Lance for 3 years. You can't have Schmidt come up and then have great 3 weeks, and then he goes really down in the tank and be like, well, that didn't work. Well, no, you got to give him a beat now. You got to give him a beat. Matos,
sure.
got to give him a beat. Luciano got to look.
All of them.
Bailey's a stud. Let's see Kyle tomorrow night. Let's roll. Like, the fact that the farm system is now spitting people into the big leagues, that's a huge step forward from where they were 2, 3, 4 years ago.
Yeah, and even the way that they're bringing them up. I was on the Giants last season when they brought up Elliot Ramos and they would only put him in against lefties. They said, okay, we're going to let these guys rock and roll. I think it's a mixed bag because you look at somebody like Luis Matos, you couldn't keep that kid down.
Yeah.
What he was doing in the bigs, it didn't matter injury. They tried. They actually tried. They kept saying, well, there's no space, and people kept doing well. And technically, I think it was injury, but it was also, all right, we're not happy about the injury, but at the same time, this kid deserves to be up here. So, and that's how it happens a lot of the time.
You guys just mentioned the Dodgers and the Braves roster. Phenomenal. So when I'm watching the Giants, let's just say it's bases loaded, 2 outs, Matos is up. The fact that he's so young and going through his Major League Baseball puberty, I feel like forget the talent, because he's so young, if it goes bad, it could go easily. He could be overwhelmed just put in that position. So for the future, that's good experience. But for the right now and trying to win the game, if I'm Atlanta, I want one of those guys up because they're so young.
Wow.
Now, he could hit a grand slam, but more often than not, to Dibs' point, I feel like there's too many of them now.
Well, the truth be told.
And it's probably by necessity because guys have gotten hurt.
Right now, I want to face anybody with a Giant uniform when the bases is loaded. Because
hey, I pictured you yesterday.
I mean,
were you at the table looking the other way?
Did anybody else almost get triggered by the way the Giants rallied yesterday? Like they won the game 4-3, and I'm like, that was the most awful bases loaded, no out experience I've ever seen in my life. Correct me if I'm wrong. It went walk. Estrada gets hit on the hand again. Flores gets one in the ribs. And then strikeout.
I was like, this is not good, man.
And then Jock walks. Jock walks. He gets four
pitches, not even close.
And then that's it. And then that's the end of the rally. I'm like, that was the most giant rally I have ever seen in my entire life.
It deserves a 0. That might have been
Lord.
56 runs in August.
In
17 games, which
wow.
Dead last in Major League Baseball. And that, to me, is the biggest problem. And we can talk about, the farm is starting to bear fruit. And it is, but to me, it's out of necessity because your Major League roster is either injured or struggling to the point where you have to bring these guys up.
Wade Jr., my neck and my back.
Yeah, Crawford now, he's got the wrist and he's got the knee. And it's sad because he's been one of the great Giants, but his career is ending before our eyes, and the pitching staff. Now Ross Stripling is on the IL, and your boy Disco, we may never see him again.
My boy. That's
your guy.
That's
your guy, Disco.
The problem with this, and the Giants even said this, you look at the list of offensive players who were dealt at the deadline, and it is nobody you care about. And I remember how many times you mentioned Paul DeYoung. The guy's already been DFA'd by the team that acquired him.
Dude, Hernandez, you can't get him out.
Well, great. So he went on a heater. But the point is the Giants look at who's available, and you go, I don't think that's an upgrade from anything you've got. But the problem is what you've got, you've got a C+ at every position. So you're like, well, we need an A or a B in order to replace that guy. Okay, I get that, but the problem is all you have is C pluses. So what I'm looking for tomorrow night is electricity.
You said he's a freak athlete,
Well,
Mark.
I don't know if this is going to work right away. He's going up against a great lineup in a hitter's park. But that's, for me, the Giants. When I watched the Braves, every bat was electric. These bats, the ball just when Acuna, holy hell. And they don't all have to be that, but when it goes Acuna and then Riley and then Olsen
you can tell the difference.
And Ozuna, it's just like, my God, everybody's got between 18 and 28 home runs.
They stole the page from the Giants when the Braves were down a run or two. You're like, in my mind, it's nothing. The game's not over.
Oh, they were going to come back every time.
They're going to come back. And the Giants used to have some of that.
They need more electric players.
Yeah.
They need more electric players. They need some electric players.
And I think that is what we were hoping to see. And we still can with Marco Luciano. I try to think.
But it ain't fair to put that on the youngsters right now, though.
No. But I am saying that some of these you need to bring in. If you look at the Braves, if you look at the Dodgers, what they've done is you hit on some farm and you bring in some big bets. It's always a combination.
Yeah.
But you got to hit on some farm. They got Acuna Jr., okay, they got guys. Okay, you look at what the Dodgers have. The Dodgers, and half the reason they were able to acquire those guys, and same with the Padres, even though the Padres aren't doing anything this season, is because of how electric their farm system was. Now, maybe it's a timing thing. I know that the Giants farm is on the come up. I don't know now with them going to the bigs and
like,
now
you're spot on, and it is a timing issue. And who knows? Like last year was sort of a lost year farm wise. It was really bad. This year has been so much better.
Yeah, you're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union.
They've always said that, and that is true. And that's which is even the great teams. You look around, the Yankees for years. Nobody is just, even when you spend a lot of money like the Dodgers have, nobody's whole team is built through free agency. No. Nobody.
Right.
Nobody.
No.
So you can yell about Harper, Judge, Stanton, and Correa all you want. Until the farm system is producing, the Giants are going to be middle of the road until then. And I think this year, that is one thing that you can still hang your hat on, is people are moving through the system.
But what about Ohtani that's out there?
Well,
if you were to get him, it changes everything I believe you just said.
Of course.
Yeah.
And some of these guys, in theory, next year will be better players than they are right now.
Right.
Like you've got Bailey, and what does Harrison look like? And is Luciano now up and in the opening day lineup? And is Matos
like
a better
watching him
version of
come
himself? You know what I mean? Like all of that.
Dibs, you were
you
gone. Go ahead, Al.
No, I just said you need one of them to pop. So you see, and I try to think back, Willard. We remember obviously what Ellie De La Cruz has done, and even he has. I'm sure
He's been slumping.
If Chuck Walter, if you're listening right now, he might call in or try to text him because he's been slumping too. So these guys, it's just a matter of how they come up, and I think that I'm trying to remember how an Acuna Jr. came up. Was it a slow burn, or did he just jump on the screen and everybody, wow, it's Acuna time? It feels like that, and I think that's what everybody was hoping with Marco Luciano, but ultimately it's a gamble. You just need one to pop. Luis Matos and Willard and I talked about it in the green room last week. Luis Matos was a guy who he kind of got that pub because of what he was doing in AAA, but originally I don't think there's some guys that you just know, hey, this guy's supposed to be our dude.
Yeah.
And Matos kind of put himself in that conversation because of what he did. Now, all of a sudden, you hear about AAA and how they play in a bunch of bandboxes.
Totally.
And it's a little different.
Acuna Jr., 26 home runs as a rookie, as a 20-year-old,
Yeah, I mean,
64 runs batted
He's a
in,
baller.
OPS at 917. So that's maybe an unfair bar.
But ultimately,
he's
you're
the
looking
best
for
player
somebody.
in the game, though. He's
Right,
the
but
best
as a
for my
20-year-old,
money.
and he's talking
Number
about
one in fantasy.
Yeah,
baseball.
no, they don't have Acuna.
But
like
no.
they're none of these
But
guys
you're talking
are.
about a guy who comes up
Yeah.
and pops. I think that's an unfair barometer for any
Agreed.
guy.
Agreed.
But it might be unfair. but
Matos
let's
was
look
hitting
around.
before AAA, though.
Okay.
He was hitting at every level.
Sure.
He was hitting at every level.
But I would say I hear what you're saying. But then you start looking at everybody else. Okay, well, there's only one Acuna, but then you go to Seattle, you got a J-Rod.
Man, can't get him out.
A lot of these teams are getting their one star. The Giants have to hit in their farm on one star, and they just haven't seemed to do it really since.
But you're giving them a couple years to get to turn into that.
And when I say like that farm has to produce, I don't think the farm has to produce your guy.
Yeah.
I mean, go to the Dodgers. They're two dudes. They're two middle of the order, real studs. Were plucked from elsewhere.
Yeah.
But there's also a Will Smith.
Yeah.
And then there was a Bellinger before that, and there are homegrown players in that lineup too. So it needs to be a mix. But yeah, I get what you're saying, and that's kind of what I mean by like they need some electric players. They don't have any.
No doubt.
No, they don't have any electric players.
Dibs, you were out, and I react to new information going to Trey Lance, which you saw Saturday night. These words came out of my mouth. I don't know if he's going to make the 53 man. It went from give him a shot to that to he wasn't spectacular Saturday. I thought that drive was good, but I do think he's carved out a spot on this team. You say what?
Yeah, I'm really excited.
I mean,
to hear
Or
what
did you
Dibs
ever think
has
it was
to say.
in the balance, him being on a 53?
When Alan and I did our show, 2 to 6, Mark was Viva Las Mexico, and I told Alan that he actually goaded me into it, and because I came strong in the green room, and these guys during the break, Grandy and Lucas and Alan, They closed the door in there. And they're like,
No, come on.
well, virtually,
No, okay.
it's theater of the mind.
I've been
But
there.
all three of them called me out. They're like, dude, you were real tough before the show. Tough guy. You're real tough.
Uh-oh.
Where are you now? Where are you at now, Dipper? And I said, you know what? I'm going to bring it. And I came on the air, and I said what I said, and I said what I meant, and I mean it even more now than ever before. He's not very good. Trey Lance is not very good. And you can look at the game on Saturday, and I've watched it twice. Shout out Guru. I've watched it 4 times. I watched it again this morning. The throws he made, the throws that he connected on were mostly simple. He had a couple 2 or 3 throws that were like, all right, Trey.
Bail, yeah.
This is how, by the way, this is how people think I talk about Brock Purdy.
Okay,
by the
all
way.
right.
Okay.
Go ahead,
If I can
continue.
continue. Thank you.
Because you do.
And I'm going to continue.
Sorry.
The interception he threw
messing
is a fireable offense.
No,
in the
that's
corporate world, if you make that mistake in the corporate world, you're fired. And that throw in and of itself was god awful.
It bothered me.
Trey Lance, he wasn't very good. He was better, but he still. Sam Darnold went back there and he had command. He looked like a quarterback. He made throws that Trey didn't make. So. Do I think that he has a spot on the 53
He
man?
did something to Ronnie Bell on that game-winning drive. I mean, where he was like, I'm big man on campus. Look at my arm.
It was like a
People-
5-yard throw,
No,
and Ronnie
some
did
of them
the
were like
rest.
50 yards down the
he
field.
went,
Yeah.
I would say his last 6 throws.
Oh, my gosh. There were a couple that were like,
Dibs,
okay,
will
you got a
go-
strong
will
arm.
you
That was
go
good.
down? Come on
Dude.
now.
That was good, and it was a
Against
good. It was
carpenters
Well,
and
yeah,
plumbers.
But then again, I mean that's preseason football.
People pointed
Like,
that out.
That's what Purdy
listen,
was going up against last season.
Purdy went up against the NFL.
No, I'm saying when the
National.
Purdy hype,
whether you gave
all
him
the
the
Purdy
credit.
hype, all the Purdy hype was look, he looked good in the preseason, all this stuff. So obviously it matters to some degree.
Wait a
Yeah,
minute,
but
there was no Purdy
Hey,
hype
that
in the
was a-
preseason.
that was-
What are you talking
Alan,
about?
he tried to sneak
Alan,
that in there.
don't you do that.
Stop
There was
it.
Purdy hype.
Nobody
I
said-
couldn't believe he
If
did
there
it.
was
If your
Purdy
name
hype.
was
Man.
not, if your name was not Larry Krueger, you didn't
Thank
even, you
you,
didn't
man.
care one
Willard,
bit,
yeah.
nor know
Alan, I'm
anything about
shocked you did
Brock
that at
Purdy
the end.
No,
until
now they popping up out of everywhere.
Week
Just
12.
like they're the
Whack-a-mole.
same
We-
people like the Halliburton people. Now the Halliburton pops.
I mean,
Jimmy
Jimmy-
got Halliburton.
Jimmy left against Miami, and we were all looking at each
I
other
thought
like
the
that's the
season was
end of that
over.
season.
Come on,
there was
man.
no Brock
Alan
Purdy
tried to
hype.
compare
There was
Stop it.
lightweight Brock Purdy hype.
Alan, whoa.
No, look at me. No, there
Yeah,
wasn't.
there was none.
There wasn't a little
Hey.
bit of it.
Drip.
Nobody was talking about him. Nobody thought about him.
I'm just saying.
But give him
August
credit
was,
for those throws, Willard.
August was screaming about Jimmy G
Yeah,
last
no
year.
doubt.
Nobody's talking about
Give
Brock.
him some credit for those throws.
The 5
Come
or
on.
6 throws
Yeah.
at the end for Trey.
You got to give him
were
that.
an improvement.
Okay. No,
They- like,
and-
and
But
there,
Willard is-
and there were some good reads in there. There was some zip.
Yeah.
There were some good things for him to build on, no doubt. I'm short
53
of where,
man?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
All right, okay.
I never questioned that though.
All right.
Trey's QB3.
I went there, Dibs.
Trey should be
Hold on
QB3.
to the rock.
And the
I'm like,
Niners
oh my
and the
gosh.
Niners have what you could say is the deepest, certainly most interesting, while not the best, quarterback room
Right.
in the game. They don't have the best
You
quarterback.
think he's ahead of Darnold? Because we threw that out today.
Lance?
Yeah, just
No.
Okay.
No.
But what did
he's definitely
I know
not.
you're right.
what did Sam Darnold do? Okay, is it based on what you've seen Sam Darnold do here, or the fact that he's has more
it's
experience?
Both. Both. If you watch
Not here.
you watch Sam
Yes,
Darnold
here.
in Saturday's game, there was huddle command, there was making
I had
the
to
right
drink
throw.
some coffee. I almost fell asleep.
The
dude.
only throw that he made that was an interception bounced off Ronnie Bell's face.
It was right there.
Now, you want to talk about a guy who might
Gotta
be in
get some
trouble in
touch on
making the
it. Gotta get
team?
some touch
Ronnie
on it.
Bell is closer to being
No, he's a
cut
yak
than
bro.
Trey
Yeah,
Lance.
he's
He-
a yak
he
bro
does-
now.
he's
He's
done
a yak bro if you Velcro the ball to his body.
But
The guy's a
Dibs, even-
fumble
He had
machine.
115, though.
My
Come on
God.
now.
He's done some really good
Yeah, no
things,
doubt about
but we are blowing off some major mistakes that
Yeah,
he's made.
and it happens.
He's caused an interception
Yeah.
in both games.
How many times do you think that they're going to have him out there on offense with the ones in the regular season? The answer is never.
They hope never.
I don't even
And
know
that-
if Danny
never.
Gray
Especially
actually
here with the
exists.
injuries, you never know.
I don't
They-
even know if
they
Danny
just
Gray
signed-
actually exists.
Yeah.
Well, no, Danny's hurt now.
But you're riding for your guy.
They signed-
Styles, I love you.
they-
I was,
Who's
but
my
I'm
guy?
keeping it real, Lance.
I'm not riding.
But
I'm
for
saying
you
he
to
looked
say the
good.
noise- the Purdy noise
I
was
came
like-
in here
Hold
with Dibs. I got a low bar.
Is that your label? Just forget everything else. I don't
What?
want to know that you fell asleep during Sam.
Be real
which,
now,
which,
Alan.
which, by the way, that's a preconceived thing for you. And I don't whatever about Brock. Brock
Yeah.
ran the team right down the field and left. Whatever.
Well,
you
Debo did,
just
but-
watched Trey, and you came out and you went. He looked. Now fill in that word.
Trey,
Yes.
he looked like he improved.
Okay, that's not what you just said.
Wait, what did I
2
just
minutes
say?
ago, you just said he looked good.
Yeah, he looked good. He did look good.
He did?
Trey looked good to me.
That was good.
Yes.
Okay.
Was the whole outing good? No.
That's what
Okay.
I'm asking
All right,
you.
oh, there you go.
Put
But there
one
was more
word.
good.
One
Okay,
word. Don't
somewhere
spotlight the
great-
last.
Okay, the end was great. The beginning was trash. So that lands me at good. He was a B to B minus.
Because it was better than Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's got
Yes, he was better than Vegas.
Willard and
He'll be
Dibs,
listening
2 to
to you.
6.
He was short of good, that's for sure.